Hi everyone, welcome to my first video for Fibre Fridays with Poetspice. This will go out on the 2nd of September. Today I'm going to share with you how I make a little book or books for holding all my trims and ribbons, well, the ones that are wandering around loose anyway. It's about 4 inches high and about 6 or 7 inches long, and it consists of the ribbons wrapped around it and held in odd lengths, wrapped around it and held in place with pins, with straight pins. And you can fit about 5 or 6 of these bobbins, or whatever you call them, or thread holders or spool holders. There's loads of different names for them. I don't know exactly what to call it, so I just call it my little ribbon and trim book. So to make one of these, you need thin card, you need fabric, offcuts of fabric, anything that's hanging around that you can't get rid of. I'm using fairly thick upholstery or furnishing fabric. I wouldn't use very thin cotton in this. You can use thin card, but not thin cotton. You also need glue. It can be tacky glue or fabric glue or PVA, whatever you like to use with fabric yourself. You'll also need a brush for spreading the glue, bookbinding rings, a crocodile or something to punch holes through fabric and card, and pins for when you're pinning the ribbons or the trims onto the card. So I'll just walk you through this project because there's a lot of hanging around waiting for glue to dry and cutting up of things. But it's quite simple and fast if you do, say, some of the gluing on one day, leave the stuff to dry, then come back the next day and finish the project. So first of all, I made a template for the actual pages of the booklet and punched holes at one end. Now the shape here of the it's a bobbin shape, but it has straight edges, and I found these to be much easier to deal with than the one that has the edge rounded over here. So I'm using that as the template, and I cut out lots of this bobbin shape from thin card. And you can also use, you know that when you have a stack of 12 by 12 papers, and some of them are quite heavy and they have kind of, the designs on them are a bit odd, you can use that sort of card, half paper as well. The stuff that's around 160 GSM in weight. So you cut out your bobbin shapes, and the next thing you do is you glue your fabric onto the bobbin shape using your PVA or your fabric glue or whatever. Then you go and you punch the holes out at each end using, just put this down, mark where you have to punch out your holes, and then you just get your scissors and off you go. Now I'm not going to do the whole of this because look at it, you know how to cut fabric at this stage. So that's what you do, and then you'll end up with this fabric on one side and your card on the other. And this is what I mean by thin card, because this is just your package for tea bags. And it's not a very heavyweight card at all. It's very flexible. But once the fabric goes on the other side, it'll be very stiff. Now, I know you're going to say, but we could do all this with paper. You could, but it won't be as heavy and it won't be as hard wearing or long lasting. And the whole point of this is to use up fabrics. So then you glue on the fabric on the far side. Now I've also prettied it up a bit by putting a trim on the end of it. Just before you glue down the fabric here, put a little bit of glue and just put in your trim. Now this isn't necessary, but it does pretty it up. It uses up trims, and also if you're making a little book like this to give to a friend, it makes it, you know, as a present or that, or you're giving a rack to somebody, it makes it look a lot nicer. So that's what that's your finished product there, and you make as many of them as you feel like, or as many of them as you need. So here's another one in slightly different trim at the end of it. And here's another one that I made, another page that I made a mistake on by punching the holes at the wrong end first of all, but that isn't a big mistake. It won't affect the structure of the bobbin, because now with 2 layers of fabric on it, it's very, very hard wearing and it's very solid. So you put your bobbins together like this. You get your bookbinding ring, put it through one end, and you will notice the odd frayed bit, but that just adds to the kind of shabby vintage effect. Now, so that's the start of a little booklet. And if you make several booklets, you can join them together by getting a massive big bookbinding ring. Now, wait, let's see, like this, one of these. I think it's about 4 or 5 inches in diameter. And you can slip the first book onto it, and then slip one side and then the other side, this one, and you can hang them up a bit like a bunch of keys. You can hang them up in your craft room and just flick through them rather than having them hidden away in a drawer. Do you see? So it's quite handy. And a great way, as I said, of using up long, narrow strips of fabric, because you don't need fabric to be any wider than about 5 inches. You can also use the same technique for making little tags for Christmas, like these ones here. This was some Santa fabric that I got in a bag of trims and offcuts. There's a fabric shop near me and it sells little fabric bags. Sometimes it sells them, not all year round, but whenever they get the time to make them, they sell these bags for about €1 each, and there's an awful lot of fabric in it. So this is where Santa came from. So I don't know what fabric line he is, what fabric range he comes from, or who made him, but he's an old-time kind of vintage Santa. I stitched around the edges with the machine just for security. But that's a start on the Christmas tags, or the Christmas makes as well. So that's my first effort for Fibre Friday. So I hope you enjoyed it and got some ideas. And thank you very much for watching. And be sure to join me again next Friday. I think that's the Friday the 9th for the next instalment of Fibre Fridays. Now, I'll also leave a link in the description box to the other people who are taking part. Hopefully I'll be able to do this, because I think there's about 16 or 17 other people taking part as well. So the links to their videos will go in the description box when I get the links sorted out. So thanks for watching, have a nice day, and I hope you enjoy getting to grips with fibre, putting more fibre in your crafty diet, and having a fantastic time with fibre. Thanks for watching. Bye.